everyone. My topic is all about approach to the school curriculum. Lesson 2.2. We have three ways of approaching a curriculum. First is curriculum as a content or body of knowledge. It is quite common or traditionalist to equate a curriculum to a topic outline, subject matter, or concepts to be included in the syllabus or a book. Dito parang sinasabi lang kung ano yung pwedeng ituro sa students depende sa topic or subjects, and it also uses appropriate teaching method. Hindi yung basta tinuro lang sa students, kailangan may matutunan din sila. So, we have four ways of presenting the content in the curriculum. First is topical approach, where much content is based on knowledge and experience are included. Dito dapat gumagana ang critical thinking and analysis. Second, concept approach, with fewer topics in clusters around major and sub-concepts, and their interaction with relatedness emphasized. Encourage students to develop a deeper understanding of fundamental concepts, make connection across different areas of knowledge, and apply their learning to real-world problems and situations. Third is thematic approach, as a combination of concepts that develop conceptual structures, promotes interdisciplinary learning, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. A student explore complex topics in depth and make connections between different areas of knowledge. It also helps students see the relevance of their learning to the real world, as themes often relate to current events, societal issues, or personal experience. Fourth is modular approach that leads to complete units of instruction. Offers a versatile framework for organizing educational content and delivering instruction that can be tailored to meet the diverse needs of learners. Yung topical, concept, and thematic approach is connected po sila sa isa't isa na dapat na-apply nila sa real world yung natutunan nila. There are some suggested criteria in the selection of knowledge or subject matter. First is significance. Content should contribute to ideas, concepts, principles, and generalization that should attain the overall purpose of the curriculum. So, magiging makabuluhan ang teaching natin sa students if na-apply or may natutunan ang students sa atin. And if they gather some knowledge or information that they can use or apply on themselves. Siyempre, kung ano yung subject or certain topic na tinuro natin, dapat may kabuluhan kung saan matututo yung students and also i-apply yung mga natutunan nila. Second, validity. The authenticity of the subject matter forms its validity. Knowledge becomes obsolete with the fast-changing times. Nagiging obsolete or outdated ang knowledge, so parang before you share that certain knowledge, kailangan mo munang mag-validity check para malaman kung tama or opinionated na lang yung knowledge kapag na-check mo na or na-update yung certain topic, parang dun lang ulit siya magiging valid or magkakaroon ng validity kapag di na siya obsolete. Parang before we share certain knowledge or topic, we must conduct research muna kung outdated ba yung topic o hindi. Third is utility. Usefulness of the content in the curriculum is relative to the learners who are going to use this. Dito sinasabi na hindi lahat ng natutunan natin in the past is magiging useful pa ba in the future or now in present. For example, finding the value of x and y sa math. Kapag ba natutunan natin siya ngayon, magagamit pa ba natin siya? For example, applying a job in a certain company, kailangan pa ba natin hanapin yung value ng x and y? O hindi? It only explains that hindi lahat useful at nakadepende talaga sa topic or panahon. Fourth is learnability. The complexity of the content should be within the range of experience of the learners. It's about the agility and willingness to grow one's skill set and knowledge based in constantly evolving landscape of information. In the context of learning and education, learnability is not merely a beneficial attribute but a critical skill that forms the foundation of lifelong learning. And using appropriate organization of content standards and sequencing of content, ito yung basic principles na nakakatulong na ma-boost or madagdagan yung willingness ng mga students to learn more. Dito tinatanong kung may matututunan o matututo ang students sa iyong subject content in a given time. Kunyari, in 1 hour, may matututunan ba ang mga students sa kung ano lang ang materials na available at nakadepende sa skills o kakayanan, galing o diskarte ng teacher o bata, o baka natural lang na mabilis matuto ang mga students. Feasibility kasi, if possible ba na matuto matapos ma-achieve yung certain topics based on the availability of certain materials and etc. 6 is interest. Is one of the driving forces for students to learn better. Dito dapat makuha natin ang attention o yun nga, yung pagiging interesado ng mga students natin in our subject content. Kung ano ba yung pwede nilang matutunan at pwedeng malaman at kung may kabuluhan yung topic na maituturo or ma-share natin within our class. So, we have basics, fundamental principles for curriculum contents. First is balance. Content should be fairly distributed in depth and breadth. Sinasabi dito na balance dapat yung ituturo mo. Balance is malalim dapat yung ituturo mo at malawak para marami silang matutunan. Second, articulation. As the content complexity progress with the educational levels, vertically or horizontally across the same discipline, smooth connections or bridging should be provided. Dito naman pumapasok yung proseso kung saan dapat yung pagtuturo sa lahat ng education level ay dun pa lang mabibigay mo lahat ng maayos na walang nagaganap na lalaktaw dun sa mga ituturo natin based dun sa curriculum. Third is sequence. The logical arrangement of the content refers to the sequence or order. Dito naman pumapasok yung from the word itself. Diba sequence, it means yung pagkasunod-sunod ng order. Dito naman organize na yung mga pumapasok dun sa curriculum. Pero meron itong mga pattern. Yung pattern nito is madali, tas pahirap. Fourth is integration. Content in the curriculum does not stand alone or isolation. Which means yung pagsasama-sama, yung nilalaman naman itong curriculum na ito ay dapat hindi nakahiwalay kundi sama-sama. Hindi sila pwedeng ipaghiwalay kasi dun pag sama-sama yung curriculum, mabibigay natin yung holistic na kailangan natin dun sa curriculum. Nang sa ganun, maituro natin yung mataas na order na kailangan maituro. Fifth is continuity. Content, when viewed as a curriculum, should continuously flow as it was before toward it is now and where it will be in the future. Which means yung pagpapatuloy. Yung nilalaman naman nito, yung tingin nila sa curriculum, dapat patuloy pa rin nating susundin yung curriculum. Ngunit yung curriculum sa pagtagal ng panahon na i-enhance at tumitibay at mas napapaganda. And the last is scope. The breadth and depth of the curriculum content are vital in a curriculum. Dito naman pumapasok yung lalim dun sa curriculum kung saan, di ba pag sinabi nating scope, yung saklaw o sakop na mga ituturo mo. Dito naman sa scope, dito pumapasok yung cognitive level, which means kailangan madedevelop yung mind or intelligence. Pag sinabi naman nating affective domain, which means kung ano ba yung parang matututunan nila sa sarili nila, kung may na intindihan ba sila. And then yung psychomotor naman, doon naman pumapasok kung ano yung kakayanan ng bata. Number 2, curriculum as a process is seen as a scheme about the practice of teaching. It is not a package of materials or a syllabus of content to be covered. So, diba, ang alam lang natin yung curriculum, isa lang siyang proseso kung saan dapat ito sundin. Ang curriculum ay ginagawa ito para sa estudyante at para sa guro. Dahil ang curriculum, sinusunod siya ng mga teacher upang malaman kung ano ba dapat ang ituro dun sa mga bata at mapalawak pa yung kaalaman ng mga bata dahil dun sa curriculum. At mai-enhance nila yung mga kaya at di nila kayang gawin sa tulong ng teacher. These are the guide in the selection of the content in the curriculum. First is commonly used in the daily life. 2. Appropriate to the maturity levels and abilities of the learners. 3. Valuable in meeting the needs and competencies of the future career. 4. Related to other subject fields or discipline for complementation and integration. 5. Important in the transfer of learning to other disciplines. When curriculum is approached as a process, these are the guiding principles are presented. Number 1. Curriculum process in the form of teaching methods or strategies are means to achieve the end. Paraan kung paano ma-achieve ang goal and objectives. So, paano ma-achieve ang goal and objectives? So, through activities na ginagawa natin inside and outside the classroom. Number 2, there is no single best process or method. Its effectiveness will depend on the desired learning outcomes, the learners, support materials, and the teacher. There is no single teaching method. The effectiveness depends sa kind of lesson, learners, support materials, and also sa teacher. Iba-iba yung style sa different sections. For example, yung teaching style na ginamit natin sa section 1 ay hindi siya effective sa section 5. So, it depends on the learners. Number 3. Curriculum process should stimulate the learner's desire to develop the cognitive, affective, psychomotor domains in each individuals. Kapag gumagawa tayo ng LP, ang laging nakalagay sa objectives ay sa 3 domains na kailangan nating ma-achieve at the end of the lesson. For example, sa PE, ang topic ay badminton. Sa cognitive, i-identify nila yung equipment and basic skills. Then, sa psychomotor, ay ipe-perform nila yung basic skills. And sa affective, they appreciate the importance of badminton. Nadidevelop ang learners holistically. Number 4. In the choice of methods, learning and teaching styles should be considered. Katulad ng teacher na mayroong iba't ibang teaching styles, ganon din ng learners na mayroong learner styles. Ang iba ay mas natututo kapag nakikita or naririnig nila yung iba kapag sinusulat or binabasa. And ang iba, they learn by doing or ginagawa nila. Number 5. Every method or process should result to learning outcomes which can be described as cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Yung 5, katulad lang din po siya nung number 3. Number 6, flexibility in the use of the process or methods should be considered. An effective process will always result to learning outcomes. Katulad din lang po siya nung number 2. Number 7. Both teaching and learning are the two important processes in the implementation of the curriculum. Teacher and learning are the two importance in implementation of curriculum. So, teaching is imparting knowledge and skills. So, the learning, acquiring new understanding, knowledge, skills, and etc. And the last is curriculum as a product. The product from the curriculum is a student equipped with the knowledge, skills, and values to function effectively and efficiently. Dito pumapasok yung curriculum. Ano ba yung matutulong ng curriculum o ano yung maaaring mangyari sa atin dahil dun sa curriculum na yon? Diba yung teacher nagtuturo sila upang may matutunan. Hindi lang sila basta nagtuturo upang may matutunan yung mga mag-aaral. So yun yung produkto na makukuha natin sa curriculum. Natututo yung mga bata na ma-enhance yung mga sarili nila dahil dun sa curriculum na yon. At layunin ng edukasyon ay magdulot ng makabuluhang pagbabago dun sa bata. Magbibigay siya ng resulta o layunin sa pag-aaral nila yung kaya nilang mabago o ma-enhance yung sarili nila sa tulong ng teacher at ng curriculum.